Golden Iris Productions presents Photon Confinement, the Preon Radius, and the Classical Formation of Electron Mass by Mark F. Dennis.
Overview. This presentation is divided into two parts. Part 1. The preon length scale from an electromagnetic gravity identity. We derive the result using a 4π coupling and obtain the compact relation R0 equals Planck length times the square root of alpha. Part 2. Photon confinement at R0 and electron mass formation. We calculate the orbital, spin-like energy and the intrinsic photon energy contribution. Finally, we interpret this as a geometric bridge between electromagnetism and gravity.
The preon radius. Motivation. Why a preon length? Pair production. Gamma transforms into electron minus plus electron plus. Annihilation. Electron minus plus electron plus transforms into two gamma photons, each 511 kilo-electron volts. These processes establish that electromagnetic energy can appear as rest mass. The question becomes, can a classical geometric confinement scale explain the emergence of mass? We propose a sub-Planckian preon radius R0 derived entirely from fundamental constants. Gravitational electromagnetic identity. We postulate the identity G equals 4π R0 squared divided by epsilon naught times mu naught squared times q squared. Solving for R0, R0 equals the square root of G epsilon naught mu naught squared q squared divided by 4π. Using codata constants, the numerical value is R0 equals 1.380 times 10 to the minus 36 meters.
Physical interpretation. The preon radius R0 is a geometric mean suppression of the Planck length by the square root of alpha. It is derived purely from constants, no mass inputs, no fitted parameters. It suggests an electrogravitational scale, where electromagnetism and gravity couple. This makes R0 a natural candidate for a confinement radius, enabling photon to mass conversion.
Compact Planck alpha relation. Recall, Planck length equals the square root of h bar g divided by c cubed. Alpha equals e squared mu naught c divided by 4π h bar. From the corrected identity we obtain R0 equals Planck length times the square root of alpha. Numerically, R0 divided by Planck length equals the square root of alpha, which is approximately 0.085424. Therefore, R0 equals 1.380 times 10 to the minus 36 meters. Photon confinement and electron mass. Confining a photon at R0. A photon always moves at speed c, even when guided on a circular path. Confinement at R0 induces an orbital, spin-like energy. The photon's intrinsic frequency energy supplies the remainder needed to reach m sub e c squared. We compute both contributions and compare them to the electron rest mass. Orbital. Spin-like energy. We model the orbital contribution as the kinetic energy of an effective mass m moving at speed c. E sub orb equals 1/2 mc squared. Numerical target. Approximately half of m sub e c squared. E sub orb equals 4.09338 times 10 to the minus 14 joules. The corresponding mass is m sub orb equals 2e sub orb divided by c squared. which equals 4.555 times 10 to the minus 31 kilograms. For comparison, the electron mass is m sub e equals 9.109 times 10 to the minus 31 kilograms. Intrinsic photon energy. The remaining energy required is E sub rec equals 8.1879 times 10 to the minus 14 minus 4.09338 times 10 to the minus 14, which equals 4.09452 times 10 to the minus 14 joules. The required free space photon frequency is nu equals E sub rec divided by h, which equals 7.3218 times 10 to the 21 Hertz. The equivalent mass contribution is m sub freq equals E sub rec divided by c squared, which equals 4.55577 times 10 to the minus 31 kilograms. Total mass and angular momentum check. Total mass, m sub total equals m sub orb plus m sub frec, which equals 9.11077 times 10 to the minus 31 kilograms, approximately equal to m sub e. Angular momentum constraint, L equals p r naught, equals E divided by c times r naught. If we impose L equals h bar divided by 2, then E equals h bar c divided by 2 r naught. Substituting r naught equals Planck length times square root alpha links the confinement scale directly to the total energy budget. Gamma photon energy. A gamma ray of frequency 7.3218 times 10 to the 21 Hertz carries intrinsic energy. E gamma equals hf gamma equals 4.09452 times 10 to the minus 14 joules. This equals 1/2 of the electron rest energy. EE equals 8.1879 times 10 to the minus 14 joules, which equals 511 kilo-electron volts. Orbital energy from confinement. When confined at R0 equals 1.380 times 10 to the minus 36 meters, the photon travels at speed c along a circular path. This forced curvature generates orbital kinetic energy. E sub orb equals 4.09338 times 10 to the minus 14 joules. This supplies the second half of the electron rest energy. Emergent gravity equation. The emergent gravity identity, G equals 4 pi r naught squared divided by epsilon naught mu naught squared q squared, yields r naught equals Planck length times square root alpha equals 1.380 times 10 to the minus 36 meters. Confinement of a photon at R0 produces the electron mass, m sub e approximately equals m sub orb plus m sub frequent. Offers a classical geometric link between electromagnetism and gravity in mass formation. Photon confinement reproduces the electron mass. Together, the intrinsic photon energy and orbital energy give E sub gamma plus E sub orb equals 8.1879 times 10 to the minus 14 joules equals 511 kilo-electron volts equals m sub e c squared. 1. A gamma photon enters a strong electromagnetic or nuclear field. 2. It becomes confined at radius r0. 3. Confinement forces circular motion, which implies orbital inertia. 4. The photon's intrinsic frequency supplies the remaining energy. 5.
total confined energy stabilizes as an electron of mass m sub e. This yields a classical geometric interpretation of gamma transforms into electron minus plus electron plus, and electron minus plus electron plus transforms into 2 gamma photons of 511 kiloelectron volts.
Summary: how a free gamma ray becomes confined. A free gamma ray originating from cosmic processes or radioactive decay travels through regions where the space-time gradient becomes steep near massive bodies. Deep within these gradients, the photon experiences increasing curvature of its trajectory. When this curvature becomes extreme, the photon is forced into a closed circular path. Confinement occurs far inside the classical electron radius. R sub e equals 2.818 times 10 to the minus 15 meters, and well within the electron's effective event horizon. The stable orbit forms at the preon scale. R0 equals 1.380 times 10 to the minus 36 meters.
Energy distribution in the confined photon. Once confined to a circular path of circumference 2 pi r0, the photon maintains its speed c and develops 2 energy components. Intrinsic photon energy, E sub gamma equals HF sub gamma, equals 4.09452 times 10 to the minus 14 joules. Orbital kinetic energy created by curved motion, E sub orb equals 4.09338 times 10 to the minus 14 joules. Together, these energies exactly equal E sub gamma plus E sub orb equals 511 kiloelectron volts equals m sub e c squared.
Conclusion: photon confinement within deep time gradients. A free gamma ray, when driven deep into the steep time gradients surrounding objects of mass, becomes confined to a closed circular orbit, far smaller than the classical electron radius. The classical electron radius is R sub e equals e squared divided by 4 pi epsilon naught m sub e c squared, approximately 2.818 times 10 to the minus 15 meters.
Stabilization at the preon radius. Inside this classical event horizon, from which the photon cannot escape, the orbit collapses to the much smaller preon radius. R0 equals Planck length times square root alpha, equals 1.380 times 10 to the minus 36 meters. At this radius, the photon still travels at speed c, but along a tight circular path of circumference 2 pi r0. This curved motion forces orbital inertia, contributing half of the electron's rest energy.
Confinement generates the electron mass. A gamma ray traveling at speed c within the orbit of radius r0 has a confinement frequency whose energy equals E equals 511 kiloelectron volts, the exact rest mass energy of the electron. The confined orbit supplies orbital curvature energy. The photon's intrinsic frequency supplies the remaining energy. Together, they yield the full electron rest mass. Thus, the electron emerges as a confined electromagnetic structure formed deep within its own classical horizon.
Grand summary: emergent gravity and the origin of mass. The emergent gravity identity, G equals 4 pi r0 squared divided by epsilon naught mu naught squared q squared, reveals that gravity arises from electromagnetic vacuum structure, with the fundamental scale R0 equals Planck length times square root alpha equals 1.380 times 10 to the minus 36 meters. A free gamma ray traveling through steep space-time time gradients near massive bodies can be forced into a closed circular orbit far inside the classical electron radius. Once confined at circumference 2 pi r0, The photon still moves at speed c, but now stores energy in two components, intrinsic frequency and orbital curvature. Electron and proton insights. At the preon radius, the confined photon's total energy becomes E sub gamma plus E sub orb equals 511 kilo-electron volts, the exact rest mass energy of the electron. Thus, the electron emerges as a self-confined electromagnetic structure shaped by space-time geometry. Yet the proton shares the same charge as the electron, while carrying 1,836 times more mass. This implies a deeper, more energetic confinement structure, a multi-layer electromagnetic configuration requiring far more intense curvature than the electron's R0 scale orbit. In this view, gravity, mass and charge all arise from nested levels of electromagnetic self-organization within the vacuum. To be continued. This framework opens a path towards a deeper, unified picture of electromagnetism, gravity, and the emergence of mass. If the electron can arise from a single confined photon at the preon radius, then the proton's vastly larger mass and identical charge hint at further layers of electromagnetic self-organization still waiting to be uncovered. The next steps explore how higher-order confinement geometries may generate hadronic masses, how nested curvature scales connect to emergent gravity, and how these structures shape the vacuum and the forces we observe. To be continued.